I am Sure Sports. You know me there. I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am Sure Sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am Sure Sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices, add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
Welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am your host, Management, and it's always my pleasure to be with you on our evening interview show. Hope you have had a wonderful day. And listen, if there's nothing to celebrate, you can celebrate this one thing: you have life. And that's a good thing. We always give thanks for life because it's not guaranteed to any man. Could be here today and gone tomorrow. So we celebrate life and we give thanks for life. And so I ask you to pause and relax a little bit and say thank God for life. You understand me? And that is the important thing. Because we live to fight another day. We live to hope another day because we are alive. Today is a very, very special show that we'll be having. I have someone who I know from UTech, but he's bigger than that now. He is the president of the Jamaica Press Association, PAJ, the Press Association of Jamaica. That's one thing. He's also the lead man out there at Sportsmax when it comes on to commentary on the game. I think there's going to be a day when he and I will have to do some competition when a goal scored to see who can say goal the longest. I'm telling you, to see, But he's very good. I mean, you don't normally find a lot of persons in the sporting arena who can speak eloquently, intelligently, and break down all forms of sports, from track and field to basketball, to the NFL, to football, to netball, to all of them. And that's the good thing, well-rounded and balanced. Of course, if he goes to UTech, what else you would think, right? So we're going to, just that while he was at UTech, Blizzard wasn't really doing so well. But, we're not going to have that discussion. I'm saying all of this because once he comes on, we're not going to have these conversations. You understand me? So I'm using the opportunity to maximize my time. But welcome again to the platform. As usual, we ask you to hit the like button, to subscribe, and to share the content so others can know what we are doing. Big up to the person who are already here, Jason. I'm the Calabar man already. I'm showing his colors with the super chat blessings. And now I know that you're back from vacation, Jason. Bless up yourself. Fresh God, 95 Gaming, Stefan Wright, and all the others who are watching. I'm going to invite and introduce my guest, Mr. George Davis. Welcome to I Am Sure Sports, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's my pleasure being here, and I hope we'll have an evening that is worthy of the time of those who are watching us.
You know what? Well, thank you for coming on. I know you're a very busy man, especially in the summer when there's so much happening on the sporting scene. But I can't maintain it. I have to ask you. I mean, how well did you do when you were leading things over by Blizzard in all those little football competition, inter faculty competitions that were going on? Seeing that Fells and Core and all of those guys, the UTech team was predominantly from Fells, and you have Weber in goal and Froggy, all these guys. Talk to me. How did Blizzard do during your time of leadership down there?
Blizzard won everything. Yeah, in my time, I was there between '01 and '05. Blizzard won everything. I actually it's a good year ask, because I can tell people now I actually coached the Blizzard women's team to the interfaculty title in 2003. Yeah, I was the coach of that team. We won the competition that year. The Blizzard men. In fact, in my 4 years at UTech, we were only beaten once in the championship game. We lost to Engine. Engine had a guy from, I think, the starting striker for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We call it Big Boy. You remember Big Boy?
Yes,
from Engine?
yes.
Yeah, man. Big. Yeah?
You sure that Fells team with Frog? You remember? Really?
Hold on. No? Remember I said in 2001 to 2005. In that time, no, I'm certain, because 1 year, the year that Big Boy killed us off, we actually started the game. Those days, the games were played at the backfield. Before Frano command here, the backfield.
Right.
The games were played at the backfield. And you'd remember that we also had lights at the backfield. So if the game went late, the light turned on, you could still play ball. So the year we started the game started without Big Boy. Big Boy was doing an exam at Engine. And Engine man, they were afraid. I said, Lord, everybody watch I said, boy, what time the exam finished, so Big Boy could run out. And I think we were leading either 1-0 or the game was level, but we were dictating the game, Blizzard. Then all of a sudden a roar went up in the crowd, and when you look, you see the crowd open, and I'm on a roar to come, Big Boy. A Big Boy change went on, and I think that year he scored and they won. So apart from that, Blizzard won every year. Blizzard won cricket. Blizzard won female football. Blizzard won the men's football.
Marcel, who played for JC, was a captain one of those years, because he
Marcelino moving.
Marcelino moving. Yeah. He was a captain because man used to beg me to come and play. I tell him, Reggie, I'm hustling, bro.
Yeah. If you remember,
I was at Constant Spring. Remember, I used to work in the bookstore now, so I was really. Yeah. So
but hold on.
Sheldon was paying me, so I paid for staff. You understand? Because we don't get the money.
I understand, but hold on. The same O'Keel Stewart, who's now the coach of Jahil Hyde, our 400 meters hurdler, national record holder now at the World Championships. He set that record a few days ago. O'Keel Stewart, the coach of Jahil Hyde, used to be the goalkeeper for Blizzard. We used to call him Foul Dog. That's his nickname, Foul Dog.
Yes, that is true, though. That is true.
Last thing I tell you, my name's man. Last thing I tell you on this. So Foul Dog was our first choice goalkeeper. Our second choice goalkeeper, well, Foul Dog was the establishment, and then he came into the system, and Foul Dog left it to him. You know who that keeper was? The same guy now who most people know as DJ Narity, the disc jockey. Yeah. DJ Narity was our goalkeeper as well.
Oh yeah, because Weber was a UTech goalkeeper.
Yes.
And kept for HTMI.
HTMI, man, Hospitality and Tourism Management.
Management, yeah. That's right, yeah. Yeah. All right. So people see, you see, a man here saying that man and his man have seen George at the football factory. Himself and Lan and Christella seem like decent players, albeit the pace is a little slow up there. Yeah, I need to get a special invitation. I do have some big tournament I can, but I have a big masters tournament and I'm here contemplating.
No, Brian will tell you that. Brian will tell you that you have to have a certain skill level to play at football factory. So if Brian plays there, it means Brian is good.
If
You
Brian
understand? So if you're
plays
not good,
there,
you can't come up there.
if Brian and George play there, I can play there. I know that Lance used to play for Barbican back in his day, so I know that Lance is a very good footballer. But I don't know about the rest of you, but I know that Lance is very good.
All right, sir.
Yeah, man. But listen, the World Championships just concluded. What are your overall thoughts on the championship itself, and more so the performance of the Jamaican male and female athlete at this championship in Oregon?
I had to remind myself about the quality of the males for where Jamaica is concerned at the World Championships, because it was disappointing the overall male contribution at the Olympics, and it was disappointing the contribution this year. Yeah, with Tajay Gale out, unable to defend his title, that robbed us of what we believe to have been a certain medal. Many people said gold. Many people said certain medal. I mean, in the context of how the men went, would have taken any medal from Tajay and been happy with it. But I had to remind myself that we weren't always this underwhelming. So, I consoled myself with the Bolt era and what we did then, and the four consecutive 4x1s that we won, and our overall record at the World Championships. But I say all of that to say that the men were underwhelming. Noteworthy performances from a couple of the boys. I think Oblique Seville did really, really well. He is on the cusp of becoming something really, really special. Johan Blake, injury curse hitting him again at the wrong time. He just looked as if he had rounded back into the kind of shape that made him one of the most feared sprinters in the world, and only for that heel to cause him to not be able to give off his best, and that was a tragedy for him personally, and of course for us as a nation. Jahil had a national record. You can't sneeze at that. Even if he came last running a national record, he would still be worthy of commendation, because you've run faster than any man in the history of a nation known for running in a particular discipline, a particular event. You deserve commendations. But I just felt that the men a lot left to be desired. The 200 meters soft, I thought, and here's why. Here's how I'm going to put it again. I think I'm very careful how I critique. I'll never criticize them. I'll critique them, because doing what they do is not hard. These are elite athletes. And sometimes as Jamaicans, we forget that these athletes are human beings, that everybody goes out there to try their best. And for whatever reason, they can't perform at optimum. We behave as if it's easy, like we've done it before. And we are nasty in our comments sometimes towards the athletes, and I don't like it. We're going to come to that later, I'm sure, with the whole Alkemba issue. For the women, the gift that keeps on giving. Overall, we had 10 medals on the teens. The women, the women have been tremendous. All of them, from the women, except for the relay, the 4x4 men's. Yeah, and
commendable, because I think going into the finals, not many people thought, given the team that we saw in the preliminaries, that even with the addition of Christopher Taylor and the uncertainty concerning Nathan Allen, and how Akeem Blake looked in the 200, I think we felt like Akeem Bloomfield, sorry. I think a lot of people, let me say it this way. I didn't expect a silver medal. So I was very
That was
surprised.
a bonus one. That was a bonus medal.
Yeah. I expected best third place, fighting for third, could be fourth. So the silver medal for me, I mean, if there's any commendation, I think that, and also, I know you mentioned Oblique Seville, but I thought Akeem Blake, the youngster, also did well, this being his first global championship as well.
Agreed on that. But the women continue to set the standard. What can be said about Chile that has not been said already? Elaine, I felt for Elaine, and I'm normally not sympathetic towards athletes because I saw someone who lacked fitness, yeah, and who was incapable of giving off her very best. And in some respects, she was muted. And I felt I felt sorry that boy she wasn't at her best able to contribute to even more fireworks on a more grand scale for the Jamaicans beyond what we did in the 100 and the 200 meters. But yeah, I can't be dissatisfied with what I saw from the team collectively at the World Championships is the point I'm making.
Do you think, I mean, you made, before we get to the criticism and the critique to distinguish between both, and then I think the other thing that when you look at those things is how do the athletes perceive it? Are the athletes themselves able to decipher between what is critique and criticism? Because that's part of the problem, because a person may look and say, listen, one of the things that was said, for example, is that it appears as if Elaine took off too early. All right. She may have other reasons to believe it's not her fault. How that is perceived by the athlete, could it be the problem more so than the critique or the criticism given by the fan, the supporter, or the analyst?
Well, to be fair, to be blunt, I think you could roll all of that into one. Elaine Thompson, I don't think would be upset at us in the way we are talking about this now and the tone we are talking about it in, saying that, look, you know what, Elaine may have gone off a bit fast, she may have run out early, and that could have compromised the quality of the baton change on that leg. But when you when you go on social media or you go somewhere else and say, all Elaine, she run off early for? Big old experienced person like that, blah, 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 blah. That comes across differently. And I'm not saying we should mollycoddle athletes. Yeah, these are highly skilled people, highly trained, people trained within a minute of their lives. Sometimes these are experienced people, mature people. They must be able to take the rough with the smooth. But too many athletes have said that Jamaican people criticizing them is like the worst thing. You know how we are, Mannings, man. When we are best, when we are good, we're better than everybody else in the world. When we're bad, we're worse than everything that's ever walked the face of this earth. And I'm just saying, sometimes people can't distinguish and delineate between criticism and critique as we can. And some persons intending to critique end up criticizing. And the way they do it, the vehemence of the criticism, the vitriol in it, the meanness in the criticism, sometimes that's what unhinges the athletes, and that's what causes them to be upset.
Yeah, but George, isn't though, let's say this, I can understand that when it's coming from media practitioner like yourself and others, but when that is on social media posts by people that you don't even know, how much of an impact should that have on a professional athlete?
Huge impact, because guess what? The praise from you, the praise from people like us is okay. Yeah, the media man thinks somebody do good, whatever. But remember, the people on social media are constant in their chatter to the athlete about the athlete. You can have a whole thread with several contributions in the thread about the athlete, talking good about the athlete. The athlete reads those things and they feel good about themselves. That's that's affirmation from your fans. So when the same community, the same group behaves in a way that causes you as the athlete to believe that they're tearing you down, it's going to damage you. And remember, me saying that this is damaging to the athletes is not conjecture. Just today, I was having a conversation on my WhatsApp with a former sprint relay gold medalist, and she was saying she was beside herself with rage at how people were criticizing Kemba and criticizing Elaine and doing this and doing that. And she was saying that, look, she named some people and she said, look, these people would know, but these people have had to have therapy in the past by virtue of what them read about what people are saying about them, criticizing about them, no good and them, no this. So the struggle is real, Mannings, man. The story of trauma is real.
It goes over the top, many times. I mean, I listen to you guys. I mean, I don't think I've heard Lance like goes there, and I don't think I've heard it, right? But what I'll say though is that sometimes the expectation for success, sometimes the disappointment in defeat, in the immediacy of the situation, people will say things. But if that same athlete were to rebound and do well, that same commenter, that same person will praise them. So isn't there also an onus on the athlete to be able to look at that and say, listen, how important is this narrative towards me? Because listen to what Michael Nemhard says. Michael Nemhard says, George has been at the track and hear how they deal with losing jockey. Right? I don't know. Maybe I don't know how he knows that you have been at the track. But
but he's seen me. Stick up in right there in Mannings, man. Michael Nemhard is so right. Let me tell you this. Any sportsman or woman, any athlete in Jamaica who believes that they've been criticized, I can tell them that they've never been criticized yet because they've never been criticized like a jockey. Remember,
really?
Mannings man, let me tell you this. The things that they say about jockeys, it can't be paraphrased, it can't be sanitized. To tell you, I'd have to tell you to your raw, and I can't do it on this forum. Race after race, people threatening your life, and people who are separated from your fence. Remember, jockeys are 5'4" tall, body weight maybe 115 pounds. A big tall man in your face, you're this, you're that, whatever. Abuse is constant, race day after race. So Michael Nemhard is correct. Very correct. Yeah, if you can survive Cayman and Spark as an athlete, as a sportsman or a sportswoman, nothing can face you. That's a Jamaican stay. But the point that you were making, Mannings, man, the point that you were making is this. And I give you an answer to what the point that you made. 2008. Cast your mind back to 2008. That was the Beijing Olympics, right?
Yes, Beijing.
Bird's Nest. All right, good. A little girl from Woolmer's made the team for Jamaica in the 100 meters. You remember that little girl?
Yeah, Shelley Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Shelley Ann Fraser at the time, yes? Good.
Right, yeah.
Do you remember people saying that Shelley Ann Fraser should not have been picked for the team because we should have given the spot to our golden girl, Veronica Campbell? Yeah? Because Veronica experienced and she just never had the best trials, and Shelley have enough years before ahead of her time will come. So even though Shelley qualified, we should have removed her and put Veronica Campbell. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that did happen. I think Veronica Campbell Brown took out of that whole thing kind of action that we didn't. I don't think it was becoming an athlete of her status.
I hear you, but here I'm talking about Shelley from here, because what Shelley did, two things happened. If that had happened, if Shelley Ann Fraser had been sidelined, we wouldn't be talking about Shelley Ann Fraser-Pryce 10 world championship gold medals later, and no money records and this and that. That would have happened. I'm certain that wouldn't have happened because her progress would not have gone on the trajectory that it eventually did, because we would have interfered with her development. That's one. Yeah. Two, a lot of those people who said then that Shelley Ann Fraser shouldn't have been picked on the team turn around and jump and ball themselves hoarse when she stays so with her mouth long up as train for the finish in the 100-meter final to win gold. So we are like that. We curse you now and we praise you when you win. But the athletes are saying, look, no man, just be balanced now. When we don't win, we try our best now, but it just don't work for whatever reason. We're injured, we're sick, whatever. If you can't cuss me, but not make we look like so we are dog and drunk, beg your pardon. And that's exactly what the athletes are saying. That's all I'm saying. The athletes are not saying don't criticize us, They're not saying don't criticize us.
Sometimes I think for the average person, though, George, that's how it is communicated. And I'll tell you, I listen to the Powell's podcast. He has this podcast, and he was talking about, I think after the whole Ewan Blake thing, that it was injury, and I think people were very harsh on him that he should retire. I don't think I can understand people saying that, but you don't make a decision on a professional athlete retiring. That's entirely up to you and Blake. All right. Now, Mr. Powell took that and he went on to, where are you when we are training? You need to come to our training and, clap us and find out what we're going through. And my position is, while I understand, I don't think a fan need to go to your training to cheer you on, to earn the right to criticize you when you fail to perform. I support Arsenal. I don't need to go at London Colony watching training before I say that Zach are not playing good. That's, to me, that's madness. I'm saying that fine, yeah, I know you got through a whole lot, and I mean, maybe I should be concerned about that. But when I am watching the Olympics, what my concern is, I mean, I'm putting things apart because I want to celebrate for Jamaica, and my emotions are involved. And when I expect you to win and you finish fourth, when I know you can do better than that, I get upset. Mark you, my criticism must be balanced and must not, bother and being disrespectful. But I don't want to also feel like I have to come to your training to support you. I have to go to the national stadium to watch the game and watch the trials to earn the right to criticize, which is sometimes how it comes across. Who paying our bills? Who buying our groceries? I mean, the government not giving us anything. Who paying our bus fare? I mean, I don't think I need to be involved in all of that to look at your race and say, man, you choke. So that is what I want you to help me with, right? I have a case? Yes.
But you are very correct. There's nothing wrong with what you say. At the same time, there's nothing wrong with the essence of the point that Asafa was making, because the point he's making in this was that look, you don't know the sacrifice that I make to be able to perform, to give you pride. If you knew, you would be more responsible in your criticism. So he doesn't mean literally that you have to come to watch me to earn the right to criticize, because he knows that that's madness. Because look, the man who pay go in a stadium and the man who jump the fence go in a stadium have the same right to criticize you. You understand? It's no different. It's no different, right? So he knows. So
even the bandwagon is charged.
Even the bandwagon is necessary. Bandwagon is necessary. So I'm saying the essence of the point he's making was that people, if you knew the sacrifice we made, you wouldn't try to make us feel like we are dog and drunk when we feel. You would cuss us and say, boy, I'm expecting you to do better. You have the ability to do better. You have the tools to do better. Go and get yourself in the shape to do better and to do better consistently. Yeah, I'll take that as fair. But he's saying, if you knew the sacrifice that we make, if you know the ends that we go to put ourselves in a position to represent you well so that you are prideful at the end of our performance, you wouldn't talk to us in the denigrating way that you do. That's the point he was making. So I take that from what he said, and then what you said about your right to critique, your right to criticize, your right to be upset with a performance that is suboptimal. You are absolutely right as well.
And listen, when the facts change, your response change. So, for example, all these years we were watching someone that Jamaica loved and cheered on, gold medal, Usain Bolt win. Gold medal, like second place, Ewan Blake. Third place, Justin Gatlin. Tyson Gay. Fourth place. Okay, well, next year, same thing. All right, no, maybe, you know what? This is going to be the year. Same thing. All right, this is going to be the year. Same thing. No, we watch all of that. This is, and then as soon as that is finished, we see 9.73 on the Diamond League, 9.72, 9.71. All of these things, and you begin to wonder. I ask this question. No, listen, remember, all of these guys were at UTech at backfield. So we saw the sacrifice. All right. But there's also this love that the people have for you, that they are so disappointed because they believe that there is more in you than they are seeing. And I think that rubs some people the wrong way. While I cannot agree with some of the things, I think, like, I know Kemba Nelson, I know her mother, and I think some of the things that were said, it should not get to a point where a professional athlete have to delete their social media account representing a country.
Tragedy.
I cannot agree with that.
Tragedy. If that
cannot.
girl, that young woman has you respond to someone like that when someone has committed an act of treason, yeah, or somebody is plotting to overthrow the state from within. Yeah, treason, you plot to overthrow it with outside influences. Yeah, she's not a fifth columnist. She's not working against the national interest. All she did was run a relay first leg, and the baton change was not as smooth as required, and the team won silver. You know how I put this into context, Mannings, man? I said Jamaica. Lance and myself share the same perspective, and I'm going to say it here publicly. You know, in a way, I wish, and I'm going to put it as strong as wish. I wish, you see, that the day comes when Jamaica go to a World Championships or Olympics and win no medal. You laugh.
No.
Yeah?
If you Lance really want to see, you want to see that?
You know why?
No, I don't think you want to see that, George.
No, but may I explain why? Because
you realize how the people behave. You know that the only saving grace of the male, George, is the silver medal,
Yes, but I'm saying some of those who gaslight and who encourage the foolishness will look back into themselves now, the cycle after we win something, and say, you know what? Let us give thanks for that which we win and encourage the elite them as best as possible and just swallow every disappointment and move on and try again. Because that is why. Look, I have been upset. I remember Riston and Tracy Manningsman winning up bronze in the 400 hurdles without World Championships.
Yes,
yeah, you remember that bronze? Good.
Yeah.
And the people them say, "Wait, Joe, we should not go on, sir. The bronze go." Somebody say, "Hold on. You know what it takes to win a bronze medal at the World Championships in any event, let alone the 400 meters hurdles, and you're dismissing a bronze medal at the World Championships because in your mind, no medal is worth anything unless it's gold? What kind of screwed up thinking is that?"
Yeah.
I said this to you. Nigeria, the population of Nigeria,
first gold medal.
The population of Nigeria is, I think, 226 million. Yeah? It is the 7th most populous nation on earth.
And the most
the World Championships started, the World Championships started in 1983 in Helsinki. A nation of 200 million people, man, won its first gold medal 2 days ago. And we get a silver in the 4x1. I want to kill the little girl. That makes sense to you?
I can't agree. I can't agree with that. I hear people even, like I'm saying that there are some of the things, and listen, I do agree that a lot of the comments have been overboard, but I still believe that there is a place for people to not respond as a professional athlete, because I've seen and heard it may have an impact, but you have to almost control what you take in. Because I guarantee you, George, that there are more persons who celebrate the athlete than people who come up with all of these negative criticisms.
But the social media has given a level of amplification to the criticism management that cuts deep and cuts through. Now, remember, in all of what I'm saying, and I see one of your commenters here saying, once you put on the national colors, you offer criticism with the school, club, or country. That's fair. I can't argue with that because that is true. Yeah. What I'm saying is this. I don't like the shrinking violet athlete. At my place, Sportsmax, I am notorious for having no sympathy for people who lose and cry on them. So I have business with that. Yeah, when Roger Federer lost Wimbledon and cry. Right, what do you cry for? Yeah, big man. Go train and come back next year and try win the thing, yeah? So I am for that. What I'm saying is this: at a certain level, when a man or a woman is striving for their national team, I am saying I am all for critique, because here's the thing: since people don't know the difference, Mannings man, let me give you
Yeah.
an example here right now tonight. I can say, Mannings man, do you know that when you assessed the Reggae Girls' performance against Canada at the CONCACAF Women's Championship, you did not account for the fact of the difference in experience between the respective squads. You did not account for the fact that our only potent goal threat was Bonnie Shaw. Canada has 3, 4, 5 players with a proven record of scoring goals at the international level. You failed to account for the fact that the Canadian defense has played 39 games as a unit. The Jamaican back four was playing only their third game together. You also failed to account for the fact that the Canadian coach has had this team since the Olympics, which they won, which they campaigned successfully in, beating the US in the final, and that Lauren Donaldson only took charge of this group 3 weeks ago and had a training camp with them and no games. You also, I'm a point at all. That right there, Mannings man, I am critiquing your analysis. Yeah? Ear criticism now. Mannings man, you're an idiot. Because you don't realize the girl them that there's a difference with the experience and the respective defensive unit them. And you are done to football if you don't know, say, if you don't play enough game together as a unit, you are going to feel you're not going to be effective. So you know also know say you know deserve it on social media where about talk about football and you're a clown to football because you don't realize you're Bonnie Shaw alone can do the scoring for Jamaica and Canada have 3 or 4 weapons. And who do I hear that you don't know if there's about analyze football, that is criticism. That is the difference, and that is what people not doing.
All right. Well, that is good. So let me go back to this. So when an athlete, though, because listen, we all walk around, right, with a bottle of water and a bottle of kerosene. And when you get to a fire, you have a choice, you can either pour more gasoline or you can pour more water. So when you call the people criticizing you as an athlete hypocrite, what do you think is going to happen? You're adding fuel to the fire. So I think when athletes, especially when their performances have not, in other words, when Bolt was criticized, he put in the performance. So the critics had to stop. When you criticize an athlete and the athlete responds by speaking, adding fire to that fuel, and no fuel in the competition, they're not helping themselves.
Yeah, but I agree with that. But people have different personalities. The bold personality is, when it comes to that kind of thing, is genteel. Of course, Bolt is an extrovert on the track. He's the most unique personality in the history of track and field, along with being the greatest athlete we've ever seen. Yeah, those are facts. But I'm saying to you, sometimes I don't mind seeing that in an athlete's personality if they take a dig back at those who are digging them, because guess what? It shows the fire inside the athlete. And where that works to the athlete's benefit is if the athlete then takes the criticism that they reacted to. Take the criticism, and when they train, they remember you saying that them are rubbish or this, that, and they train with an intensity because they want to prove you wrong. So it is one thing to say something to you, but it's to prepare themselves to prove you wrong. I say this still. Someone raised the point about horse racing earlier and criticism. There's a former.
Listen, I had to. Some of the horse racing thing, I'm not even that I've seen. I'm wondering if they are real.
Well, on man, trust me. Wait, no. There's
Look at this one. Let me just give you, for example, this one. The same way Jackie with Josh talk about go through worse than herself are talking about. Remember, before becoming a jockey, them have to sleep in stable.
Yeah, man, that team, but he's correct. But I give you this.
Yes.
A multiple Derby winning jockey in Jamaica. He's not riding anymore. Retired long time now. But Manning's man, he was notorious for when the crowd gather at that talk and do the SYM. You know what SYM mean, right?
SYM?
Yes. The
Oh,
S
yes,
stand for
yes, yes,
something, the
yes, yes,
Y is
yes, yes,
right.
yes,
So
yes, yes.
the crowd that killed you with SYM.
Yes.
That man, Neville Anderson, for those who on the call who know their horse racing, Neville Anderson is the only jockey came on his park. We'll go out on there and look back for you and say, oi, go
Yes,
SYM, whatever. Every
yes,
jockey hold on them head and no, you can't tell Neville that. I never tell you whatsoever, tell you line you up.
yeah.
But he's going to go and ride.
And perform.
And then when he comes back, he looks for you and says, oi, go SYM again. So I'm saying to you, I want my athletes some time, Mannings, man, to have a little needle about them. But you're going to look stupid if you only respond to the harsh criticisms in word and not deed. Respond in word if that's your nature, but go and get your training up and your preparation up so you can do the best response, which you are talking about, which is to respond in deed.
Yeah, but because my challenge with this is criticism must be constructive. All right. What allowance do you give to the fan who has invested their because they are fans who have invested their emotions.
Yeah,
Like for some people, like a failure of a sport person is like their personal failure. They
yeah,
don't do it that well.
yeah.
So some fans are different, and I think athletes need to understand that they are fans they are so invested in the sport and in the person that when that person fails, it hurts them to the core, and in the immediacy of the whole thing, their response may not be the best. But give them some time to get over it when they come back to their senses. Let me put it that way, and they probably would, you know, you know, view things differently. You think about even this Pablo Escobar from Colombia. You think if those fans were so invested in this Colombia team and the whole situation between America and Colombia that you think like maybe if it were a year after, they would have probably sat down and say, you know what, it's not even worth it to take the person's life. I don't know, but I
But
think
that
there
was
is.
slightly different though, because that was gambling money that caused that though. But to
Well,
the point you're
that is
making,
true.
to the point you're making,
Which is horse
to,
racing too. Why probably horse racing is a little
well,
bit
there you
different.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
To the point you're making though, look, you know what is true? The kind of fan that we are hitting out at will never disappear. In fact, you're going to have more of them. Yeah. So so what we are here talking about, is to the sensible ones, me, you, and everybody on this platform tonight.
Yeah.
Is just remember that don't be too bruising. Listen, you can cuss off an athlete if you want, as a fan, Yeah, man, but don't do so in a way that make the person believe that them a dog and drunk.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, because I'm saying tough words sometimes need to be said. And I see this man saying, I don't agree with criticism must be constructive. We don't give out participation trophies in sports. If we're not going to be honest and objective, leave it alone. Nobody is saying you should be honest and objective. That's exactly what we're saying you should be. But again, notice the part of me said, look, the trouble I have with reasoning is that people hear some things and don't hear everything. I want people to hear all. So I'm saying again, it is fine to critique or criticize somebody without making them feel like
Like a
them
dog
a
and
traitor, them a dog, them no mean the country no good, you deliberately go out, they go lose. We have more control over language than that, and we can do better than that. That's all I'm saying. Because it's not gonna change. And if I were Skemba's coach, what I would do, Mannings man, I would have go
yeah.
on Twitter and I would find
The person.
20, no man, I'd find 20 good constructive comments about what happened in the race, and I'd show her them for affirmation to say, my girl, listen,
Yes.
we know you have the idiot them we attack them foolishness, but look here, this is what other people are saying. So don't worry about it. That's what I would do as part of the therapy.
And part of what I'd say to her is that you need to have somebody who controls a social media account, because there are some things that should not be seen as a professional athlete. You can't expose yourself to all of that as well, because like I said, these people are always going to be there. Like Damien, this is preacher saying criticism must be constructive from your coach or coaches or those in your team. You have no control over what the fans say at the end of the day, but you can control what you hear from the fan.
But that statement is there's conflict in the statement, because if Damon is saying criticism must be constructive from your coach, that's fine. Or coaches or those in your team, that's fine. You have no control over what fans say. What I'm seeing is this. Of course, you have no control over what fans say. So that's why our athletes block people out. Yeah. But those around you, exactly. I mean, they're paid, and they're expected to deal with you the best possible way so that you remain in the best frame of mind. So no, there's no conflict in the statement, is what I intended to say. That statement from Damon, the last one, is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Who do these athletes do this for? Because one of the things, again, I learned a lot of things from Asafa, because one of the things he said is that, listen, we are doing this for ourselves. We're not really, because this is my job. I'm not doing this for Jamaica first. I'm doing this for Asafa and the family first. All right. No, that's a very thin line. I don't know if it is, and you can help me to understand this. Does this apply only to track and field, or like, because it's not a team sport per se, it's more individual based? So like track and field, you're doing it for yourself, but when it comes down to like a national football team or the West Indies cricket team, this is not about you. It's about the West Indies cricket team or the reggae boys or the reggae girls. Are all of them the same? They're doing it for themselves first.
The answer to that is individual. What do I mean by that? It's what people's motives are. I can understand the man or the woman, the sportsman or the sportswoman who say, which country? No, may I run for myself. May I play cricket for myself? I'm running for Jamaica so that I can win big races, win medals, boost my profile, and get called to all of the Diamond League meets and all of the Golden Spike meets, so I can make more US outside of major championships. That's what I'm not running for the blasted country. I can understand that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can understand someone who says, boy, look, I have a crowded schedule, I play IPL, I play CPL, I play Pakistan League, I play in Nepal, I play in Sri Lanka, I go get somebody Vitality Blast in England, I get somebody Big Bash in Australia, and I still make time for the West Indies, because even though the West Indies is not a country, it's the regional team, and I still do it because of the love for West Indies, and I want my friends and family to see me in the maroon and gold, and I believe I have an obligation to play West Indies cricket, because West Indies cricket is what inspired me to be somebody who can earn well at the various franchise leagues that I play. So you see, two different perspectives on the same issue. One is individual, inward looking about themselves and taking care of themselves. One is, as they take care of themselves, making time for the national team, because they realize the importance of it and the pride that they want to share in and that they want to expand to other people. So the answer always has to be individual.
Yeah, but the issue with that, because when I listen to that statement, what comes to mind is what you just said. If we had a situation where there was a tournament, a Diamond League, and track and field, like Commonwealth game and Pan American game, then what is happening to our cricket would probably happen to our track and field. People up to do the Diamond League over representing the country, and what we'll find is what is happening in West Indies cricket happen with our track and field, where our best athletes are best performers are not available. So it's a good thing that there's no conflict in terms of the events. Because that kind of statement is saying to me that if I had a choice between the World Championships and the Diamond League, I would choose the Diamond League because I'm doing it for me.
Right, but we're not at odds there, because I'm telling you that that's how some athletes think. That's exactly what I think.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but I gave you two scenarios, and I told you the man who has love of region, love of country very high alongside his professional obligations, and the one who have the love of self very high, the love of country very low. Because I'm saying, look at it, the athlete who will say, I'm not doing this for no country, I'm doing it for myself, will say to you, say, hold on. Then, if I'm going to run the 100 meters, I'll finish fifth, and a man will come on Twitter and tell me about my mother, right? For Jamaica. If I run for Jamaica, wait, if I'm going to run for Jamaica in the 100 meters, finish fifth, and somebody tell me about my mother, and some big belly man will tell me some should run fast, and some man will have chronic diseases, I tell me all kind of foolishness, and I cuss me and tell me all kind of things, must go do this and do that and whatever, from a country. As opposed to running at the Diamond League, earning 20,000 US for finishing the same fifth, and a man tell me about my mother. Which one you think so? Which one you think I'm gonna do? Which one you think I'm gonna do?
Yeah, but no, I totally agree with you. So when this now brings me to some football discussion. So when the players decide not to come and play for the Reggae Boys because they have to deal with their own personal thing, we cannot question their commitment. We should not question their commitment because they are looking about their personal lives. So, for example, if the national team is called up for Nations League and persons say, listen, this is a Nations League, I just signed my contract, I'm about to sign my contract, I don't want to get injured, I'm not playing no Nations League, call me for World Cup qualifying. We should never question that as a matter of commitment, but looking at your own interests as a person and for your family down the road. And
well, that's a different situation, That's a different situation, because I'm telling you, I'm going to explain now.
Yes.
The player who doesn't make themselves available for Nations League, but will tell you that don't come up for Nations League, but come up for World Cup qualifier, is a player totally committed to self-aggrandizement and not the country.
Really?
That player should be banished. That player should never get a national call. No, hold on. No. If like if during the Nations League time in January, so the January transfer, so you get a transfer to a new club and a new bar, perhaps you're fighting relegation, and you want to get into the swing of training with the players at the club who are non-internationals, who don't get called for them Nations League games as well. So you want to go embed yourself in the squad before the season resume. And you say, coach, listen, we just come in on a new setup, so not a problem. Not a problem. But if you choose to say, here, because it's Nation League, I don't want to play Barbados in Nations League. I don't want to play Curacao. Yeah? I don't want to play the British Virgin Islands or the Bahamas in Nations League. Call me up with World Cup qualifier. No. Different thing that. Because what that is, it's not a case where you are putting self over country, You are using country when it is convenient to you. And because of that, you should go to hell.
Yes. All right. No, but you see, but George, they are not different though.
They are very different.
Let me tell you why they are not different and then we can probably flesh it out. A lot of our cricketers use the West Indies cricket team to establish themselves. And then once they have done that, they choose the IPL over certain West Indies tour. Right? Is that similar to the footballer who opts not to play in the Nation League but will make himself available for the Gold Cup?
Right, but you're extending the example of using the national team, but it was a different point you were making before. But yeah,
no, but it's the same.
Yeah, but a man like Evan Lewis, right?
Yes.
Who plays T20 here, there, and everywhere. for big bucks. But for West Indies, the man have no interest. Evan Lewis should never again be called up to the West Indies team. Never again. You of course know that you don't need to be playing for the West Indies to get an NOC from Cricket West Indies to go play T20 cricket. You don't need to be playing for the West Indies.
They actually changed
Yeah?
it. They actually changed it. Right.
So I'm agreeing with your example now by giving you the Evan Lewis example. That Evan Lewis should never again be invited to play for any West Indies team.
Well, so if a player turns down the call up to, except for injuries or, like you said, club situation where there is a transfer, but if he's available on a FIFA window, because it's a FIFA window,
yes,
he's called up and he doesn't turn up because he doesn't think like this game is big enough. Let's use that. All right. You're saying that when it comes to the quote unquote big games, he should not be called up.
Absolutely not. And especially because I would tell the player, bigger baller than you, never play a World Cup. George Best never played at a World Cup in his life. Giggs never played one World Cup yet. Yeah. So bigger baller than you don't play one World Cup. So you're in good company if when we qualify, you're not on the plane.
I think I need some time to digest that and kind of get it, kind of figure it out in my head, because there are two ways to, let me say, there are two ways to look at it. I can understand a player saying, listen, I don't want to even call any name, but some players I think are not needed for certain tournaments. In other words, the Nations League is of less importance.
But man, why are you struggling with it? Why are you struggling with the point? Because I know where you're going in it, because I'm saying to you, if in this FIFA window, I have 3 Nations League games in 8 days. Hold on.
Yes.
I have Aruba away. I have St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the stadium. And I have Curacao in Mobile. Right? As the coach, I'm going to look at it and say, nah, man. Bygrave and Daniel Green can manage them money. I don't need Michael Antonio. I don't need Ravel Morrison. So I don't call them. But if I call you, don't tell me that you're not coming unless the reason is as compelling as we have agreed. A particular situation with your club, injury, or some other exceptional circumstance. But it can't be that he has a coach. 3 Bush League side them, man. Nah, man, you can't have big ball come play Aruba. Can't be that. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, I hear. I have my co-host, Stan Cranky, who is here, but I also have Brian, who is a cricketer. He says that, George, because the reason Evan Lewis, Hetman, and Shireen Rutherford, they are not playing, has more to do with taking a stance against West Indies cricket fitness test policy than being committed to West Indies. But
no. Hold on. No, man. Maybe before the information that we got, we could have said that. But I can prove that is not so. Here's the proof. 1, Shimron Hetmyer.
Rutherford has... Go ahead. Go ahead.
The Sherfield Rutherford thing deal with some agency business. We know that. So set aside Sherfield Rutherford, right? Shimron Hetmyer went to Trinidad and submitted himself to the fitness test, which he passed yesterday and is available for the T20s against India. So, I mean, there's nothing strange there. Evan Lewis.
That's strange. That's strange.
Shimron, so facts. Pooran said it at his press conference today. Yeah? That Hetty passed the fitness test and Hetty is good to go for the T20s. Yeah? I don't know how Hetty passed the test. Well, let's say Hetty. Anyway, that's another story. That's another story. Watch this now.
So you see what I have a problem with? Because you and I know that something is wrong with the fitness test itself.
Hold on.
I call it the exemption test, not the fitness test.
We can come to that. Hold on. So Hetty submitted himself to the test. He flew from his home in Guyana to TNT to take the test, pass the test, and he's available for selection for the T20 segment of this India series, which starts on the weekend after the third ODI tomorrow. That's one. Evan Lewis, in the most extraordinary exchange I've ever heard between a player and a chief selector. Desmond Haynes called Evan Lewis 3 weeks ago. This is how the conversation went. So, Evan, did you take the we organized a fitness test for you at so-and-so facility this morning. Did you take the test? No. Oh. So are you making plan to take the test? No. So what should we do? Should we make some plans for you to take the test at another time? No. Desmond Haynes said publicly, and I haven't heard anybody say a lie, Mattel, least of all Evan, that in the conversation, Evan would have killed him with one-word answers. Yeah? Evan have zero interest in playing for West Indies right now. So that's what I'm saying, that if I were Desi Haynes, Evan Lewis would never see a call from me ever again.
So, man, can I jump in for a second with George?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
I read some of it.
Yeah, man.
I think, good night, George. How you doing?
Hey, Mr. Cronky, good to be in your company, man.
This is Glazer, you know, it's Glazer versus Cranky, so I don't know how this is
going.
No,
man, we don't call me Glazer, man. We want to get rid of the Glazer.
Well, we are spending money, so
yes, sir.
Nobody can complain anymore. A lot of money. No, here's the point, and not to digress into cricket, because I'm here to talk more about football and track and field, but I read the comments surrounding that. First of all, I think it was very unprofessional what Haynes did. If you're in a position of authority, you got to manage that conversation and disseminate to the public. I think that was what he did. Second, I think Lewis said he has more to say. Apparently, there could have been a personal situation between them, because when I give you a one-word answer, that means I don't want to speak to you, really. And there's always three sides to a story. We have only heard Desmond Haynes' side, and we take it as Bible because he's in a position of authority. That's what we normally do. If the police said something, well, maybe not Jamaica, but police said something here, we normally take it for what it is, without getting the full, all the persons involved in a situation, provide perspective, then we make an informed decision. We don't normally do that. So I would love to hear what his perspective is, why he has responded the way he did, was it accurate what was said, and then you can then have the full evidence to then provide a perspective as to ultimate outcome.
Can I say that?
Go ahead.
Here's the thing, in this social media age where players are so protective of their brand and their handlers are so protective of the player's brand, the fact of neither Evan Lewis nor his handlers challenging that statement in public in the 3 weeks since it was made suggests to me that there's a constraint on his side, either where the facts are concerned or whether there is anything with which he can challenge it, so he just leaves it to float. That is unusual. You say something bad about a player is going to respond. That's one. Second thing, I am close enough with people at the level of WIPA, the Players Association, and also close enough with players who are in the current setup and players who've just retired from the setup, who have told a tale, yeah, or put together a profile of Evan Lewis and his mindset towards West Indies cricket. So when I say that he should never be called again, it is largely because of what I know behind the scenes, aligned with what Desi Haynes reported, which has gone unchallenged, which has given me the confidence to say so publicly.
So here's something that's interesting. So the theme of what you talk about tonight is this, and it goes back to what Asafa talked about, which is, as an athlete, am I performing for myself and my family, or my country, or the general public, right? Goes back to what you talked about Evan Lewis, West Indian cricket, talk about with Asafa Powell, or even with what happened with Kemba. And I've always said this, that it's always about the individual, and then the collective may benefit. And they're not necessarily mutually exclusive, but if I go and perform, most time it's about me whether it's my ego, whether it's compensation I get for my performance. It's about the individual. Now, some people may be very patriotic, but here's my contention always been this. That's why I said it personally got to take care of themselves first. When you no longer can play for your country, because whether ability or otherwise, you are most time discarded. In a lot of society, are discarded. And so therefore, the country doesn't have the same interest, or the team doesn't have the interest of the player as they want the player to provide to the team or the society. Let's think about your Man U team or my Arsenal team. We don't care about the players we think are not performing to the standard. We're saying, what they call them, get with a dead weight. We have derogatory names we use for those players. We're not saying these players, you know what, Miles, or you know what, Jones at Man U, thanks for your service. We really appreciate it. You did your best. No, we say get rid of you, bring somebody better in. So as a player, why do I then would have the obligation to you when you have no such obligation to me? What's your view on that, George?
I'll answer you this way. Remember, what I have said and made clear, I think, is that based on his attitude towards West Indies cricket, Evan Lewis should never get another call. All right?
Okay.
And I stand by that. At the same time, the reasons for Evan Lewis becoming unplugged from the West Indies grid could very well be legitimate. Maybe his experience when in the setup, how he is handled, how he is treated, how he's made to feel valued relative to some of the other big names. Well, some of the bigger names than him who were in the side and who are still in the side. And the man say, you know what? Why should I?
Sorry, George.
Why
I think
should
there's
I?
also a past issue with the present coach, though.
Yeah.
To be fair, there was some issue before. I don't know if it has been resolved.
Yeah, but hold on. I'm saying that Evans groans for being nonchalant about West Indies cricket could very well be valid, and I would not take that away from him, because I thought you were getting there when you made the point, Stan Kroenke, that listen, when you retire, when you go to tax office at Constant Spring Road, you can't join any line and go to the cashier and say, listen, give me X and Y services or license McCarthy a year. I am an ex-West Indies cricketer. She was, sir, where your money? You understand? That can't go nowhere. So a player has to take care of themselves. And I'm not faulting Evan for taking care of himself, but I'm saying from the West Indies perspective, the man don't want to play for us. Leave him alone. I'll give you this quick one.
Yeah, but George, this is where you and I have a problem in the George.
Wait, I hear this quick one. I hear this quick one.
Yeah.
I hear this quick one. A certain West Indies captain came to us the other day to spend a day with us. Former West Indies captain. And we were reasoning outside. And he was giving me a story about a player who I will not name. He said to me that the player had just come into the West Indies side. But the player was on the fringes of the side for a long time, and they're not calling him, but they're calling players who performed below his standard in the regional competitions. And he might wonder, so hold on there. I am taking X number of wickets and I'm making X number of runs. Why I'm not getting a call? Why this man get a call? Why I only get one game in the series and dropped after I only got 2 overs? And this man feel game after game after game and still get called and everything. So he was very upset with them. So when they called him into the squad, he took the call, played 2 games, got dropped for the last 3 games, and said, you know what? I'm upset with them. This player then got a call from Pakistan to come and play PSL. The Pakistan contract was for $40,000 US. When him signed the Pakistan contract, guess what happened? West Indies called him as a replacement for somebody in a white ball team. But the West Indies, the tenure, the contract, the West Indies was $14,000 US as opposed to the 40,000 PSL. So this former Windies captain told me that the youth come to him and say, listen, what am I do? And the man said, look, I can't tell you what to do because I can't go on the record as telling you to do one way or the other because, you know, so the youth go to him room, take out the chip out of him phone and dash with the chip. Yeah? And then go play Pakistan and collect him $40,000. When he came back from Pakistan and see a number come up, call him, answer the phone, is the Cricket West Indies president. Oh, Mannings, man, we've been trying to reach you for whatever. Man, so no. Oh, sorry, Mr. President, my phone got messed up and whatever. Yeah?
But George,
some people see that as unpatriotic. I see that as being smart. 40,000 to 14,000.
George, and there's a qualifier to that.
George,
there's a qualifier to that. There's a qualifier. Was it that really smart though? And here is why. So he only played a few games for the West Indies.
Yes.
You talk about Jamaica national team. When you play for national team, suppose you get more profile, you get more visibility, you get more notoriety. So if you went to Pakistan for 40,000, and 40,000 means the 14 is not material. You know, it's not like Charles Barkley making 10 million and they may give him 30 million. There's a big difference.
It's 26,000, man. It's 26,000, Stan.
But here's the thing, George. The question is, if you're thinking long term, if I played more for West Indies, do I get more opportunity to go play IPO where I make much more than go for Pakistan for 40,000? Because I may never play for West Indies again. I may never get that call again.
No. Well, I don't have to, Stan. That's the point I'm making. If I go PSL and I play good, I am certain that the next PSL I'm going to get a call.
True. But here's where I have a problem, though, Jared. I'm now going to come back to the national football team. So you call me up for the Nations League, and I feel like if I stay and play for my club team, or if I rest so that I can play for my club team who will be going through a tough stretch. Say I play for West Ham, and you had the Nations League game, and I said, listen, I know where my body is at. I need to sit out this because listen, I need to be ready for the season. I need some rest because of how my body is, and then call me when there's World Cup qualifiers. I will sacrifice them, but right now, me have to put some. How different is that from the man who chose to go Pakistan over a West Indies series?
George, before you answer, George Manning's man, because you talk about a real life example, you have to expand that example. It's too simplistic. It's too simple. Here's why it's simplistic. Because I've heard this a lot in England, actually, which is more around the 9 or 10 hour travel to Jamaica is part of the detriment they believe, which then they will make decision about whether or not they stay in England or not. Now, sometimes contractual situation, they're trying to find clubs or they're tired. That travel to play what is deemed to be an insignificant game is part of what they factor in the decision-making process. So it's not just because I'm not going to play for my club. Now, George may say, yeah, Manning's man and cranky, but Brazil play a good flag up Timbuktu. Because you know why? They have more competition for places. So they don't feel that
I said this still. This is how I'll answer this. This is how I'll answer this. Listen, you can't be committed to your country halfway. You can't choose the games that you play in because you are setting, especially if the other players in the squad know that you are the prima donna in the squad who only makes himself available for select games, discipline falls apart within that squad because they know that the squad is not a squad of equals. Because some men lift heavy all the time, some men lift heavy sometimes, and some men lift heavy none at all. That's a problem.
George, I have to stop you, George. George,
what?
I have to stop you. That's society at large.
No.
George,
I'm not accepting that because I'm saying to you, no man, hold on, man. I'm not accepting that. In a football team is not society at large. A football team is something where you need unity of purpose and you need a kind of commitment that it will be difficult for you to marshal among strangers in any other place in society. So I'm saying when Portugal is playing San Marino or Gibraltar or the Isle of Man or one of them bug side where even Cavalier under 14 that get 6 love. CR7 is on the plane. He's scoring goals because him a pad him statistics. Harry Kane plays against Andorra as well. I'm saying you come work it out. Say, look, coach, those 3 games, boy, them 3 games there, rough, you know. I think you should, why not just give a chance to a couple of the youth them at the JPL to see what they can do at this level. And think that's a discussion you have. Then the coach insists that he wants you because he wants to build team chemistry. He wants to create a winning habit within the team. You say, all right, coach, listen, but I'm going to give you a half against Honduras. I'm going to give you the first half against Aruba. I'm going to give you the second half against Barbados. I will come back at Mobile for the third game against Curacao. I'm going to give you 45 minutes. No coach will say, boy, a fool is talking. I'm going to play for the 90 minutes in all 3 games. No. So I'm saying the moment you have a player doing that, CR7 doesn't do that for Portugal. The previous world record goal scorer, Ali Daei, didn't do that for Iran. The man in the Caribbean Football Union and CONCACAF who has scored the most goals for a CONCACAF team, Stern John from Trinidad and Tobago, with 77 goals, never did that for TNT. Every time he was called, he answered the call and he went and he scored goals. So don't tell me that any man who is in England or wherever, he's telling you that, boy, you know what, I'm going to rest. I'm going to play club games. Behind closed doors club games against Brentford under 18 to keep sharp when all the other people going on play international football and there's only a skeleton playing staff left at whichever training ground the club is training at. Come on, man. We need better than that.
So I think when we're doing analogies, we got to be very careful about how we do those analogies. So the comparative is an African country that sources talent from Europe. That's the comparative. Not industrialized countries and the big countries like Brazil, Argentina, England, even the US. And the US doesn't even have.
I gave you Sturm John as an example, though.
No, I know you gave me Sturm John, but Sturm John is Trinidadian by birth, isn't he?
Not Trinidadian by birth. He is Trinidadian and he played for TNT.
No,
and he scored 77 international goals for TNT. He played the bulk of his football outside of TNT.
So you look at Cameroon, you look at Ghana, maybe 26, you look at some of those countries, which is a proper analogy, and you see some of the same problems we challenge with, whether it's with their federation, their players, foreign source players, fans' perspective on this. It's almost the same exact thing they're facing. Same exact situation.
I'm saying, hold on. What is the same exact thing they're facing?
Meaning the players are born outside the country.
No, man. Well, understand, Kilo. I'm saying to you, listen, people talk about travel as if we're traveling in the 1970s and the 1980s. Listen, if Sadio Mane can leave Bayern Munich training to go back to Senegal to collect the African Player of the Year award and come back and resume whatever and join. Players make transatlantic flights all the time. That's a fact. Sports science has improved to the level where a transatlantic flight is not as enervating now in 2022 as it was in 2000 or 1992. In the same way, a man gets an ACL injury in 2022, career simple. You get the treatment, come back. When I was a youngster in high school, ACL injury meant retirement. Fact.
George, when Messi go to Argentina, he flies private. When Neymar go to Brazil, he flies private. I'm sure Liverpool probably send a plane for Mane go to Senegal, and Mane is big in Senegal.
Probably they do, yeah.
But when Jamaica send for them plane,
it's a plane.
When JFF, they probably have to take 3 and 4 different stops to come to Jamaica.
No, you don't have to take. No, there's nobody. Come
true.
on, man. There's nobody in England who has to take 3 planes to come to Jamaica.
No. But I'm saying when you come to Jamaica, they're flying economy. Are they flying first class to come to Jamaica when they fly for Jamaica? Play for Jamaica?
I'm saying you work out that with the federation. I'm coming in. Well, you see. You raise such a good point because our federation is, you fly. But again, I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, George. I get your point.
A business class flight nowadays, is much more comfortable than a business class flight in 2002. Exactly. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. But I'm going to say this too. I'm probably going to contradict myself, which is the level of allegiance. They're mercenaries and hired gun. Let's be frank. We need them and they need us. It's a sheer thing that we're doing, George. They don't have the same level of, I don't want to use the word commitment because I think that word is toxic to me. The same level of allegiance and affiliation that you normally have when you're born someplace, you grow up someplace, you're there 24/7. Whereas you're born someplace, you may have a far-reaching affiliation. It's not the same. It's not innate like it is when you're born in Jamaica versus born someplace else. It's just not. You may have an affiliation for the country, you may have an affection for the country, you may associate with the country, but you're not there to have that same thing. And frankly, I got to travel 9 hours to go there versus, you know what, I could stay here, relax, try to find the next club. It's sometimes challenging, George. What we need to do, George, here's the thing, George. You got to think about the federation versus the player sometime, you know, George. How they reach out, how they engage. There's a lot has to do with how they engage those players and how they bring them into the fold versus just being from afar and us making judgment about what players do or don't do. It doesn't mean that our players are committed.
On that point, you are correct, which is why I suggested. Look, I want to say I'm sure that the conversation, the imaginary conversation I had between player in the UK and the Jamaica coach actually don't happen, because that's the reasoning I would have. I'd call my player to say, listen, I have these games coming up, and how you feel you want to play these games or what, and try and work out something. But I'm saying to you at the same time, don't forget, when a player is an international player, that improves their standing at their current club. An international player gets a bonus that a non-international doesn't get. Fact. Yeah? Michael Antonio's profile is higher for being a reggae boy than for not being a reggae boy. And we all know that you are only valuable to your club coach in the moment when you're contributing to them staving off relegation or making a run for a European place, or if you're at the elite level, you're the top 6 in the Premier League where you're challenging for trophies and so forth. Beyond that, you are expendable in a way that you will not find the kind of support in your downtime from the club coach that an international coach will give you. You know, one of the mistakes we made? We had the guy, what's his name again? He's in Australia now. Mariappa. Without a club, playing international football for the reggae boys. Yeah, I had a serious problem with that. You understand? Because I'm saying, and to plug it into the point I'm making, a club coach is not going to give you that kind of facilitation where you're not playing at a competitive level and they're using you in big games. Although club football, international football is different, but I'm just saying that you don't have a club, you're not playing competitive football for your club, and your international coach is using you.
Qualify that comment, George. Qualify that comment.
How?
Because we had the same thing with Ravel Morrison.
Yeah.
I had an argument with someone about Ravel before he got to Derby about him being part of Jamaica setup. And I think sometimes you have to make exception. If somebody's an exceptional talent, at least from our perspective, not necessarily on a worldwide basis, you may have to make some exceptions if you believe that person is better than what you have, even though they may not have a club at the moment.
So you brought in Ravel Morrison, who nobody will argue whether or not he's better than what we have. But Mariappa was better than what we had at centre.
No. The point I'm making is that you made a general comment. I'm saying
I am going to make
to those comments.
Yeah. So let me make a very solid point with both of you, because what I don't think we can treat everybody the same way, even in a football team. Because the fact that you just elevated Mikel Antonio to a certain status, that there's a different treatment that he, just like, I'll give you an example. Shamar Nicholson is in Russia, right? If he's called up just for say to play, not that he would, but just hypothetically speaking, they call him up for a Nations League game, and he said, boy, to get from Russia to Jamaica, I have to do all of that, and you understand me? It's too much on me. All right? I have to deal with that differently than if I call someone, for example, from the USL who refuses to come. Right? Because I think I can't deal with the player from the USL the same way I deal with Shamar Nicholson. Because
question
I don't think
for you. Am I not calling these players in a FIFA window, sir?
Yeah, but what I go back to may be different from what you are going back to. So if you're going back to the USL to play a game 5 days after, and I'm going back to Russia, and I'm going to get there a day before a big game for my team, it's a little different.
How long does it take to get there? We spoke about travel. The
Yes.
convenience of travel,
Yes.
and how it is that players look. Remember now, if the coach buying you, the coach that has taken you, know that you have international duties. And so these are the things that propagate discrimination of players based on where they come from. That's why certain clubs don't want to sign certain players. They said famously that Sir Alex never used to sign players from Africa because they don't want a man gone in January.
Yes.
They don't want a man gone in January for Africa Cup of Nations and all
Exactly.
that. Yeah? Good. Hold on. Somebody's saying that Mariappa shows up to every invite. Yeah, because we're the only ones giving him football to play. If I was inviting him to play at Football Factory, he would have come because of the only football I'm getting. Yeah, that's not commitment. That's
George,
Mariappa
he's
in
coming
that
before
moment.
George. He coming with at Leicester. He came before George.
Right. So hold on.
Jack, this is very convenient. I like that.
There's a Welsh poet named Dylan Thomas who wrote a brilliant poem years ago. Yeah, talking about raging against the dying of the light. Adrian Mariappa was raging against the dying of the light. Yeah, committed before, but when he was a spent force and no longer an international class footballer, and we gave him football, he was compelled to answer the call every time. Because we were the only show in town.
I agree with that. Here
you go. All right. So what was I saying? So I was saying to you that, look, Shamar Nicholson called for the Reggae Boys in a FIFA window. Yeah? And he gets back. Not most of the FIFA windows. The FIFA window, the last game you play is on the Wednesday. Yeah? And most competitions resume on the weekend because they realize that players have to fly from wherever. Because remember, this thing is not the JFF organizing it, it is well organized. Yeah? So the midweek game, the Tuesday.
Qualify that statement, Why it's not the JFF organizing it, it is well organized.
We get it.
Exactly.
But we got it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm saying, so if you finish midweek with international football, because that's how the thing is designed, to say that if a player to make an allowance for the players flying from wherever to wherever, so you terminate the Nations League or whatever FIFA commitments in the midweek, and then you resume play on the weekend. The fact of the matter is that I challenge you to show me any FIFA window where the last game in that window in any confederation, any part of the world, is the Wednesday, and then a club team of a match the Thursday. It don't happen like that. So I'm saying Shamar would still have the necessary time to get himself together for the game. But that said, Stan Kroenke, Manning's man, as a coach, I'm not calling anybody who is going to then embarrass me by telling me that I'm not answering the call. I called them beforehand to say, listen, how you stay, how your schedule stay. If you come for these 3 games, how you stay afterwards. Are you in a good moment? You want me to ease you up, make you, sit in with the team some more. I'm working those details out. But when I go and I call a man after all of that, if that is happening, and then a man tell me, no, listen, man, it has to be a good reason.
So George, we're going to go to another point of this, which is this. Do you believe, since you're not part of what we call the traditional media, that there's new media like what Manning's man does, and there's the traditional media, been there forever, do you believe the traditional media has held the JFF accountable as they should, given all the issues we have had over the years, but are even more pronounced in the more immediate timeline?
I read the newspapers, and I don't see the JFF being held to account, because here's the thing. I hear it on the talk shows, though, on the traditional media, or in the traditional media spaces, on the talk shows. I don't see it in the paper. When you look at the newspaper, and you have to realize the people who are opinion leaders and shapers in the written press are gone. The last man who was there was Tony Becker. Tony Becker passed on several years now. So there's nobody to critique and analyze the feelings and to give out licks when licks need to be given out, punch in our face, all them things. Not literally speaking, of course. This is a violent society. So
You have to explain that for some in the audience.
No, figuratively speaking.
What you see in the papers is reporting. So you report that the bags were stuck at the airport and the ladies never had the money to pay for them. You report that no training session was held, blah, 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 blah. So you're reporting stories. There's nobody there writing opinion pieces to then hold their, to account. On the other hand, when you read the Gleaner and the Observer every day, you see a lot of opinion pieces criticizing or critiquing the government, telling Andrew what he should have do, telling Mark Golding what he should have run the PNP, telling DPP why she can't win the case of court, telling police commissioner why I'm unfit for him job, all of these things. We don't see this in sport because apart from the talk shows who get off on it, the written press lacks this kind of analysis. All this your report. Manning's man beat Stan Kroenke 1-0. George and Davis drew 1-1, and that's what you see.
So what about as the president of the, because you're also the president of the Press Association of Jamaica? I mean, what influence do you have on that to creating that? Because the truth is, sporting, I'm going to give you an example, George. I've not heard anything about Billy Haven. I'm wondering, every day I keep wondering, why am I still here? Because he's in heaven, and I thought I should have been raptured too.
I'm looking for something to read to you from the PAJ's constitution. Hold on, I found it now. Right. So this is what the thing is. The Press Association of Jamaica. I have it at hand because I'm reviewing a draft of the constitution that we're sending out ahead of AGM a couple of weeks from now. The association shall promote democracy and press freedom and foster a high standard of journalism in Jamaica by giving scholarships, maintaining and improving the professional development and welfare of members, safeguarding and protecting the rights and privileges belonging to and the facilities usually accorded to the press in all democratic countries, and of course recognizing members for excellent work done. So I say that to say that where the editorial aspect of the thing is concerned, that's for the employers of journalists to say, you know what, I don't have on my roster a thought leader where football analysis or sports analysis is concerned. I have reporters who can go out and tell me the result of something I write and make a match report on it, but I don't have anybody leading thought and shaping opinions. I need to employ an opinion writer to look at the JFF and bash them, to look at Billy Heaven and the Jamaica Cricket Association, to look at the Basketball Association, to look at Cayman and Spark and how Supreme Ventures is running it. That's what they need to do. That's not within my purview.
Okay. All right, let me hold on, Crank, we're not hearing you. I think you're muted, but let me ask you this, George. All right. Hold on, Crank.
Let me say this, which is go ahead, man.
Yeah, I got in this. I got in a text, right, George, because this is a serious issue. So here it is that the coach calls the player, but the administration don't have a well orchestrated plan to get the player on a comfortable flight to Jamaica in time and back to their club. Or the player, I'm not going to call his name, is asked to use your own money to pay for it. All right. So that player decides that he's not coming. It is then communicated as a commitment issue to the program because he turns down the call. So this is where the holding account is.
Rubbish.
Okay.
Rubbish. So the player's agent comes out and sets the record straight to say, look, listen, man, my player answered the call. However, on the JFF's end, it needed to have plotted a graph of how they were going to get my player from England to Jamaica and back. We had an agreement that we need a comfortable arrangement on the plane, seating arrangement. They reneged on that. And then, at the end of the day, my player to pay their own money to upgrade them seat from economy, each up round at the back, near the bathroom, or near the restroom or at the back, to the bulkhead, or, well, there was no bulkhead seat available, so I had to go in business class or to pay our money. And because of that, and he's upset about that, he's not taking up the call. I can live with that. I have no problem with that.
Okay, all right, great. Because the agent of the player says, listen, the player travels business class. The JFF says, listen, we don't have the money to buy the ticket for business class. Therefore, if you want to come, you have to pay for the upgrade or take the economy ticket. I would hate.
That's a slightly different thing, though. That's a slightly different thing, though, from what I answered. Because if the JFF tell you upfront that you have to do that, so it's not like you had an agreement and they reneged on the agreement. If they said to you that, boy, we can't afford to fly you beyond economy, then you have all right. It's in the ball is in your court, you know. You can decide to listen. If you can't fly me there comfortably, I'm not coming, and that can't be held against you. If you want me to come play for you, the least you can do is fly me there comfortably. Listen, I'm not Trinidad, may I come from or Florida. You understand? So even if you were taking me from Florida, which is 90 minutes away, Miami, get me there comfortably.
But George, those things are all symptoms, you know. Those things are all symptoms, and that's why I asked the question about accountability again. Because at some point,
I'm not dodging it.
At some point, you gotta change the status quo, don't you?
Absolutely, with you on that, 100%. With you on that, and I'm not wavering. I'm happy you brought it back because I don't want people to get the impression that I'm wavering on accountability. There can be no compromise on accountability, none.
Yeah,
so I'm happy you brought it back.
What happened the last time you were on one of these media? I think a lot of person walked away with the impression that, in particular with the GFF, like it was not your job basically to hold them accountable.
What? No, of course it's my job to hold them accountable.
Yeah. No, I think the question was asked of you, George, about the GFF and what do you do? I'm not sure the word was accountable was used. And you sort of talked about what your station did for football in general, not zeroing on the JFF and what their deficiencies were and what they need to do and how they should be accountable. I think you sort of focused more on how you promoted football, how you facilitate the upliftment of football.
Yes.
But the question was more targeted around how do we get change in that organization who are responsible for football, administer football, to get the football where you need to get to. Because you can only be a catalyst for the football. You are not the one in charge of the footballing program and to move the football along. You don't have all the ingredients. You don't have all the sayings. You don't have the responsibility. You don't have the authority for the football program in Jamaica. That's what the JFF has.
Right. So what I spent time doing, you know, when I spoke about what my company did, was to say that, look, these things are not happening at the level of the JFF, but there are people, there are companies that are doing things and have done things. And then I pointed out what we did because that's my reference point. I mean, we can sit down and talk about what the JFF now do for a long time. But at the same time, I want to show that there are also things being done. So that's why I spent some time in that answer talking about what Sportsmax had done for the football and was doing.
All right, George, what I want to ask you, George, there we have the Jamaican Netball Association, we have JABA, we have the Table Tennis Association, they're having problems as well. Just saw something. The JOA and the J3A having problems, the JFF having problems. Well, the Jamaica Cricket Association is a problem that can't be found.
So the question man should be about what's not having problem, not what.
But Mannings, man, I don't know why you're upset about the Jamaica Cricket Association. You know, the delegates voted Billy Heaven in. He didn't steal the election. You know, they who are part of the voting body, they decided that he's the best man to run the cricket. So why are you sorry for them?
No, yes. But I would say the same thing for the football. But
exactly.
What I want to like what needs to happen in terms of how we get people to lead these what I call national organization where it goes outside of the all boys club voting groups, because most of these things is just the same circle of people who have been voting for the leadership of the football and horse racing and cricket. It's the same grouping. What needs to happen? Because obviously these sports have national impact. I think with the exception of cricket, where there is not like Jamaica participation at a international level because it's the West Indies. All the other sports, the sporting administration, is there a place for media to be involved, government to be involved, private? But what needs to happen to expand it so we can get people who are not just in the sport, but understand what is happening globally from an economical standpoint, a sporting standpoint, all of those factors. What needs to happen? Because it's spread across every sporting discipline for the most part.
And that tells you how difficult it is to find a cure. There's no elixir that you can open and pour on all of these sporting organizations and get them to work in the right way. The problems we have here with sporting bodies are the problems which exist everywhere. Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to name a country where you'd name a range of sporting bodies where there's not this lack of professionalism, lack of effectiveness, lack of accountability, lack of common sense sometimes, and you have some men, and mostly men, some clone leaders in positions where sensible people ought to be. It's a universal problem. Look, you see, us who are supporters of the various sports, our voice is so powerful and we don't even know it. But how do we organize ourselves? Look, the people, for those who are sitting on, the spearing over how the LGBTQI movement has advanced. And I wish I could use a better example, but it's the one that is obvious to me right now.
Yeah.
They organize and they come together. So a lot of things that we knew growing up into adulthood that we shouldn't accept, that people want to accept and are forcing you to accept now, or even you say to yourself, you know what, I even not pay them in the mind because that's a for them thing, doing for them thing, and not bothering with them. Those things I've realized because those people have organized and come together. I say that to say, we on this side of the fence, we don't organize in the way that groups do to get the change that they want. The parish associations vote for the JFF, yeah? And it is so because men are protecting their ability to travel, go foreign, because without the football, them can't go airport for nothing. Yeah, men are protecting their access to crumbs. Some of them are protecting their access to water from the trough, or the thing where you give bag feeding that you give to goat and cow and them something. Right, they're protecting that. So you and I will be out here agitating for change, but they who do the voting and the selection will never change, because changing the status quo means cutting off their access to the benefits that are their lifeblood and that legitimize their own existence. We have to organize as fans. We have to organize. We have to say. We have to make representation at the level of the JCA to say, listen, we're not satisfied with the direction the cricket is going. We are a concerned group of stakeholders, blah, 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 blah. We believe that this should happen. And then you start loosening the ring fencing that has been done for the football, for the table tennis, for the cricket, for the basketball, for the netball, that has been done over time. That's the only way we can put it.
Yeah. Cranky, I have a question. Then I want to ask you, is there any, and then Cranky can come in, is there any sporting body you would say, you know what, man, you're wrong, This one, man, I can tell you, they have been doing really, really well, because I think though we have had success on the track with track and field. Listen, we have athletes complaining about how they are treated. We don't have enough facilities. So all of those things. Is there one sporting body that you can point to and say, listen, why don't the other sporting body look at this body? Look how they have organized themselves. Look how they have operated, and learn from them and take the transferable principle, because they have it. They're not there yet, but they have most things together. Is there one that you can identify?
I couldn't identify one, because all of them from time to time are prone to the kind of issues that are bedeviling the ones that we talk about the most now. These things are in flux, and people are the same wherever you go.
Yeah, somebody said
Issa, but you see, ISA is different because ISA is different from JFF, Cricket Association, netball, all of those things. Yeah?
It's not really national, really. It's not a...
it is national, but look, it is the people in who people ISA, all school principals. Yeah, it is led by a school principal. It has a secretariat that runs competitions, and there are lots of complaints about how ISA run competitions, but also ISA does very well with many things with the schoolboy competitions. So ISA is good, but ISA is not the same creature as a Jamaica Football Federation. It is not the same creature as a Cricket Association or any of the other national organization. It is parochial because it deals with school level sports, so it's different.
Yeah, Boris Johnson, trust me, not tennis. You have to follow the news. not table tennis. They have problems. They have problems, Coach Boris Johnson. Trust me. Pioneer says that parochial thinking on the part of the parish presidents that George mentioned, it is a bellyful mentality.
Correct. He's right.
He's right. Listen, I keep on telling people it's not just football.
So Manningsman and George,
the people in track and field,
as you're talking, I'm listening to what you're saying.
Yes.
And here's the first question. I'm a slave to benchmarking, right? But I'm a slave to benchmarking about things that truly apply. So when you have an organization with what I call challenge resources, you have to find a benchmark where somebody's being successful that's almost similar to what you are, right? You can't use the US and most European countries as your benchmark a lot of times. You got to think about countries, maybe say, only a good example, but say Costa Rica, for example, who seem to punch above their weight in certain disciplines. And you got to think about where can I find in a country I can really use as a comparative, as an analogy, to inform what I'm trying to accomplish. So we have an oligopoly, or maybe even, I won't call it monopoly, in a lot of the sports you're talking about, especially in the football. Okay, if you have 13 parish presidents who have lifetime positions, who's going to vote for their friends, you'll never be able to break that. So here's a question for George and for you, Manningsman, which is more around what mechanism can you use to make that process much more open, much more inclusive, much more democratic for the quote unquote stakeholders, which for me is probably all football fans in a sense, or even even more expansive than that, to allow us then to be able to influence who sits in what seat and who will help us progress, say, for example, football as an association.
We can't do that at the national level, though. So to answer your question, you would have to do it from the parish level. How many of us who are football people have ever sat in or attended upon a meeting of our parish football association? Yeah? So it is that a lot of the parish football associations will tell you that, look, people complain about the people who we return year after year as president, treasurer, general secretary, and so on. So, but who is it that comes to these meetings? It's the same few committed people. Well, they call them committed. Maybe they are committed, yeah? Because they come cycle after cycle. Yeah? They look and say, but Stan Kroenke is a man died in the football. Him not come at the meetings here. Manningsman say him don't have the time and so forth, so forth. Yet, when we make decisions here, him stay from far and complain. So a lot of people don't make themselves available at the parish level to give leadership from there to influence how the parish administers football at that level, and then to offer themselves for office so that the benefit of them can then be felt at the national level when they sit with other like-minded people to decide on who should run the country's football. That's where it starts. A lot of these guys are in the positions that they've held for a long time because there's not new blood coming through, and a lot of people are not investing their time enough in the football to be able to challenge these leaders for life at elections and to offer people who would want an alternative to these people to offer another option, because people in the football association will say, listen, say I don't really want to vote for so and so or to see him come back, but I look around the place and there's nobody. So, boy, stick with evil, Stick with no evil. Stick with no evil. We need to give people an option for them to stick with no evil, and that is where it starts. Because we can't affect it once the parish people are in, and they have to, because they're the ones who amend the JFF constitution. It can't be amended, and the constitutions usually, you would know, are constitutions are amended inside an annual general meeting or a special general meeting called for that purpose. You know, those meet as an association and say, boy, let's amend the constitution, or a subcommittee does it and passes it on. So if you want constitutional change to give stakeholders like us a bigger voice, it has to be that you're coming up from the parish level and infiltrating there with good sense and good intentions and good ideas, and get rid of this, some of this staleness and this bellyful mentality that one of your friends spoke about in the chat.
Yeah, George, I mean, I promise you that I'll keep for 1 hour. It's hour 50 minutes. So
yes.
Management, one more question, management.
But I need to ask him this, Cranky. Hold on. I'm going to let you come. He's going to take. I know he's going to take it. So, George, here's my thing. A couple of things. Shouldn't there be a policy then from the governmental level, though they cannot be involved, like FIFA don't allow them to be involved, but shouldn't there be a policy to appointment to any national board where there is a governmental benchmark that if after, in other words, the standard for the election and the standard for all of these national position must pass through some department of government to be approved as non-corrupt, it's not going
FIFA gonna lock it down. Any government, listen, if FIFA got them better than dreams, the government, them lock it down.
So George, just like you mentioned a while ago, George, about somebody, why wouldn't we go that route, George? Why wouldn't we go the grenade route to change things? Why wouldn't the government do so? It gets locked. Here's the question I asked George, which is, if FIFA lock you down, when do you get reopened?
Yeah,
it's not a lifetime ban,
right? So what they would do, what FIFA would do is this: they'd impose a normalization committee for a period. They usually don't impose it for less than 6 months and for longer than 2 years. So 6 months or 2 years, and in that time,
1 year, right?
Yeah, Trinidad had it, Guyana had it, several countries had it. So the example is Legion. So they'd impose the normalization committee to straighten things out and get back a civilian administration in the football, free from government control. And then when they're satisfied that it's at that level, they give it back to that civilian group and mandate you to hold fresh elections and impose a new executive and pick up from there.
So, George, I asked the question again. Why don't we go nuclear on this? Which means...
You know, he's a bad man. I just realized the question that you're asking, you know.
No, but here's the thing, George. Which is this. So here's the thing, George. We got to have our cake and eat it too. So we qualify for the World Cup. So you know what? I have a timeline from the World Cup. If I know what if I know what the penalties are and the timeline for that penalties, I work backwards from my girls' birthday in the World Cup or from the CONCACAF. No, but that's George. I mean, you have to, George. Where we are.
There's only one thing. There's one thing though. I like the idea, but guess the problem now. Let me ask you the question. What are we going to do with the parish presidents then? Because even if we got nuclear and lock down the JFF, they will still be in place. Exactly.
No, but here's the thing though, because you have government intervention now, and they're going to change the construct. You're going to go civil intervention, and they're going to change the construct whereby the electoral process changes. Why do you have parish associations are the only ones who can vote? Why don't construct doesn't change? When the electorate is broader, business house, everyone involved in football are part of the voting. Just like you have an ISA, which is all school, which means they're all island, and there's tons of high schools in Jamaica and tons of schools in Jamaica. It's a broader electorate than just whatever number of parish presidents there are out there who get to make decisions about who runs our football.
Yeah, but
why would we go that process?
That is why I'm saying that I like this, because here's why. Because every parish have different amounts of electorates are voters. They have different amount of voters.
Same people, and you hear George said a while ago.
No, man.
Same people go meetings, same people vote for the same people.
No, what I'm saying that in St. Anne, for example, you may have 100 people who vote. The business house may be allowed to vote in St. Anne, but they're not allowed to vote in Westmoreland.
Right.
You understand me? The security forces may be allowed to vote in Trelawney, but they're not allowed to vote in St. Mary. So there's no one policy that covers all.
You know, as a man, as Stan Crank has talked about the nuclear option now and set me to thinking, which is so. Thank you for this, because you know you're looking at it a different way, which I appreciate. You know what could happen and what has never happened, and I say never happened because in my conscious period, say from high school till now, I cannot recall it happening, and I have a very good memory of these things. Here's what could happen now, Stan Kroenke, to further what you are saying. What is needed, is for our Minister of Sport, and we have one now who's very influential, to go to, or even send, if you have a state minister in the Ministry of Sport, as Babsy does, yeah man, sport, youth and culture, yeah man, Orlando, Terrelang, yeah man, East Central St. Catherine MP. So you say, listen, there needs, gentlemen, she gave a speech then, Stan Kroenke, to say, look, there needs to be regeneration at the level of the parish football associations. And I'm not saying that people who are serving should be turfed out. What I am saying is that I want more people who mean the football well and believe they have something to contribute to fit in the administration of football at the parish level and lend their talents to the way the association is being run. I want to see AGMs with not 20 people in there. One whole parish have 20 people at the AGM. I want to see 200 people there. And of that 200, I want people, at least 10 people, who a reasonable man or woman can stand in the crowd and look around and say, but Stan Kroenke would make a good president, or Manning's man wife would make a good president, or would be a good treasurer, or she'd be a good president or a general secretary, or whatever. So I want this kind of leadership to come from the position of the Minister of Sport to say, look, let's regenerate and replenish and bring new blood into how football, the administration of football is done at the parish level. That now will light a kind of fire under the tail of them man where they're in place from Whoppi did a plan for kill Philip till now, and set in motion the kind of participation, active participation that we know will bring about the change and the refreshing of things at the parish level. I think that could work. Could that work?
I think we need to do something, George, because what we have now is not working. We're seeing the same thing over and over again. We don't need evolution, we need revolution. We need material changes, and we need, and this is about people, It's about people. Do you have the right people in the right seat making the right decisions? And some of the challenge we face is not just a resources issue. You have to go out and get the resources. And if you don't have the people in place who the business community is going to feel comfortable with, who have the intellectual capital to figure out how to go source revenues to fund the program and do a lot of other different things, not just revenue generation, but a lot of different things to answer the football, you won't make progress.
You are speaking facts now, because let me ask both of you a question, even though you are doing the interviewing. How many of you believe that, how many football associations across the island believe that the capacity to prepare a business plan exists?
I'd say zero.
I would say Kasafa.
Maybe one.
I think Kasafa have it.
Kasafa for real. Kasafa for sure. What I know, all right. How many people in the football associations we have across the island leading these associations? When I say leading, you don't have to be president only, but at the leadership level in these football associations, how many of these people we believe can read a balance sheet?
I know Speed can. He's supposed to be able to.
Well, he's not involved in the parish.
I know. I'm just saying he's part of the administration. So.
But the point I'm making there, gentlemen, for me, these are embarrassing questions. If I was in a parish association and I hear somebody ask them questions, I say, hold on. But it's a business where I run. What do you mean by read balance sheet? That's a given. But they can't.
But that is the point I was making earlier. So the standard for leadership in certain, and I'm talking about cricket, the standard for leadership are the qualification necessary to operate in an executive position in any national board, whether sport, entertainment. There must be like a policy, a framework from the Sport Development Foundation to say, listen, within that executive committee, there must be somebody who can do a business plan, or who can read a balance sheet, who can...
Management. In any organization.
That has to
in
be
an organization.
Huh?
You have the criteria and you have the resume to say the person has the ability to perform the function or the activity. So you have the criteria up, whatever the framework construct you put in place, what the criteria are for a position to be head of a parish association. You have to have a resume that allows you to run for that position in the first place. If you don't,
that's what I'm saying. But if you don't have the standard, then you don't need a resume. So anybody can be. Right. And I think that is where we need
people. Why you think it is so difficult for some of our parish associations to attract sponsorship? When a sponsor come and say, all right, show me a business plan for the next 5 years. Yeah? Show me your open up your account. Let me see your profit and loss.
We don't have no business plan. We only plan to do business.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So when I hear them ball about them can't get sponsorship, I shake my head and I say, really? Then who would take them sensible millions and pump into what you call a business?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but as we have Damian Hilton, the preacher, and then people have to release George. George, they say I have to come back. They say I have to come back. You know, and people, he's too busy for these things. So it's once a year. So maybe next year. But
George, need to realize that this is the new media, George. This is where the world is going. So you have to be involved with the new media more often.
I don't know. I think I'm not doing new media. You know? I mean, the Sportsmax app is and Sportsmax YouTube and Sportsmax Instagram is. On fire, boy.
And the next Sportsmax thing, are you guys bringing back the EPL this season?
Hi, my name's Man. Evening.
No, we don't have the rights. We lost the rights to Verticast. Remember that the rights we had a joint venture company called Rush, which was a partnership between Digicel, which owns Sportsmax, and Flow. So those rights were bought by Verticast Media. So they are the ones who have it. They issued a statement today saying that Jamaican viewers can watch the EPL on Jacko, Jacco. I understand Jacko to be a community cable channel, but that's what they announced today. But I guess closer to the time when the EPL starts August 5, there'll be more announcements about how Jamaicans can watch it, but that's what they've said so far.
Whoa. So no, but you still have Championship and La Liga and those things, though.
Yeah, man, we still have Champions League, NBA, Championship. We have Championship, La Liga, Champions League. Yeah, those still remain with us on Sportsmax for real.
Yeah. All right. Damian, Sir Preacher.
Yes, man. Yes,
you're hearing George?
Yes,
yeah, I'm hearing you.
All right. Go ahead. Yeah, man. Welcome to the show. This is the man they call Preach on the radio.
Okay.
Yeah. Evening, Cronky. Evening, George. Just a quick comment. Having worked at the local level, I think George made a very, very good point about how change can emerge. Because I've represented a club in Kasafa at the local level and recognize how change can happen by just participation. But to another point that was made about the capacity of the various parish associations. The parish associations may have people who have capacity in terms of accounting functions and general management functions. So in many instances, it's not a matter of capacity of individuals. It's a capacity of the persons who are presidents, the capacity of presidents at the local level to effectively cast a vision and to effectively channel and incorporate all of the various talents and persons around the association to get the association to be what they want it to be. Yeah. You have to be a registered entity in the first instance. So your articles of association requires you to present certain information that would speak to your ability to quote unquote, submit your annual reports, your financial statements, so on and so forth. So the parish associations meet those minimum standards. Where the gap is that when you look at the leadership of the parish association, there is a big gap there in terms of the people there and their ability to be visionary in terms of their thinking and what they want to achieve at the parish level and then at the national level. That is also complicated by the fact that there is
But Preacher, I have to interrupt and ask you this. Who do you blame? The blind leader or the person who voted in the blind leader?
No, well, what we have to understand, management, is people at the parish level are not full-time workers in parish football. These people are part-time. In many instances, they volunteer to support the parish football process. At that level, you don't have full-time staff. Let's use Cassava, for example. The Cassava president has a full-time job working with Scotiabank. Being the Cassava president is something he does by the way. The person under him, the GenSec and the accountant and all those other people, they're volunteering or they're at best part-time. So you don't have people who are doing parish football as a full-time job where they're committed to a process where they're working day in, day out. Those realities have to also change if we're going to see a change in the overall landscape of football in Jamaica, because it's a business. And because of the limited fiscal resources that are available to football at the parish level, you're always going to have this kind of pariah mentality where the president aligns himself to his pals, his buddies, his friends, so that they can get scarce benefits from the top down. You're not having income generated from the bottom up. That's a part of the reality in Jamaica's football.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your contribution. I'm going to let George respond and then we'll close out the show because we have had him way past time.
Yeah, man. More on sleep now. Here's the thing. Based on what Damian said, a lot of truth in that. I would say though that a lot of organizations in this country are voluntary organizations. I lead a voluntary organization. It's people with, Dion Jackson Miller, one of my directors, is a preeminent talk show host, an attorney, a practicing attorney who, I don't know how she do it. She in a court every day. She up on Beyond the Headlines in the evening. She up on All Angles on Wednesdays. I have a heavy workload carrying, but I have a secretariat. Cassava has one of the most, well, not one of the most, has the most organized secretariat of any footballing representative body in the country. Yeah. So it is about, so he's correct when he says the leadership marshalling everything around the secretariat support that you have for those who have a secretariat, because not everybody's like Cassava who has one. That's the difficulty. But the point he made about the voluntary nature of the job and the person who eventually becomes president, there's a relationship between that. There's a relationship right there, a strong relationship. The person who has the skills for the job and who would do well in terms of providing the visionary leadership and the emotional leadership which is required at times, that person would be put off given the commitment that they have for their 9 to 5 and other commitment. So that person will step aside and let someone who seems to be more available to do the run around and the going here and the scoring and all that, who appears to have the time to make a greater time investment than them. Oftentimes you find persons of the kind I described first stepping aside and say, listen, I don't have the time for this, so you can go up, man, I'll support you. And then that opens the door for foolishness to happen.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Listen, I want to thank you so much. I don't know when this is going to happen again. If we were still up at UTech campus, I know this would be an everyday thing because George is when you go by Biz Addy, you would be having a conversation. But yes, I don't know when it will happen again. But the people have said George for president. George must come on a little bit more often. Yeah, but tell us some of the things that you have coming up on over there on Sports Max.
Commonwealth Games start on Thursday, and it's going to be very, very good. The Caribbean participation at the Commonwealth Games is going to be strong in multiple disciplines. Track and field, not the least of them. We're going to have that. We have a very exciting thing that we launched today. It is the Sports Max Fantasy Football League. If you want to know more about that, you go to the Sports Max app.
It was today?
Yeah, man, we launched it today.
Wasn't there, but were there some games before though?
Yeah, man. Okay, remember, you know how launches work. You tease and then the official. Yeah. We also have the best. We're the only station in the Caribbean that you can watch the best of British horse racing on. Horse racing is the number one sport in the country, but Manning's man thinks it's football or track and field.
In the country, but not in Jamaica, you know, because you have the country part of Jamaica, then you have all of Jamaica.
All right, man, I hear you. Yeah, so we have that coming up. We have the Netball World Cup. Sports Plus will have the Netball World Cup in South Africa later this year. Yeah, in Cape Town, South Africa, where the Sunshine Girls are going to battle it out for gold. And yeah, man.
Yeah, the people are asking if there's any incentive in the fantasy football and sports, Max. Or is it just...
Yeah, man. Then if you play fantasy football, you must win prize, man. Yeah, man. You just play it. So, yeah, man. Yeah, man.
So horse racing is the number one sport in Jamaica for real?
By far.
In terms of what? In terms of attendance, what is it? Or money involved? Must be money involved.
Well, look.
Because it's not the most popular. It's not the most attended.
Hold on.
It don't have the greatest participation.
Wait. Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited, the promoters of horse racing in Jamaica, say they have 60 off-track betting parlors around the island, right? If you, on a regular race day, add up these people who are at the 60 off-track betting parlors and that Cayman Park, it is more than who at any of the organized football games all in the country put together. I'm not asking you. That's one. Next, horse racing is the only, Gunners Boss put in the revenues here. Horse racing is the only sport that never goes to the government and goes like this. It goes to the government and goes like this. Yeah? But don't talk. Eh?
All right. Michael Nemard says George for president of the JOA.
Why? Over there rough, you know? Over there rough.
I think George Battery would have died. But Cracky, anything you want to say in closing again, and also thank you for coming on the vacation again.
No, look, I think George made some salient points in the discussion we had tonight. I think conversations like these need to happen more often as we think about ways and means we can help to enhance what we do as a people as it relates to sports. As you know, it expanded out of just track and field and football into other disciplines. So we can't give up in terms of some of the things that we see occurring in management. We have to find ways to influence and change. And through change, as I say, better must come, right? Through change. And hopefully that's the case that happens with us as a people, as a country, and sports fans. So it's always good to be part of such dialogue.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, you know, you have different kinds of show, but sometimes you need this kind of show to objective discussion, open discussion, where it's not just about identifying the problems. But
we weren't criticizing either. We were
yeah.
Because you know it gets emotional when people have clear different views and perspective. It's very emotive conversation. Yeah. So this is much more of us learning from each other and providing our perspective.
So George, you had this famous thing, right? Because sorry, Cranky, we figured out that your battery died, right?
Yeah, my iPhone died, so I just run for the other phone quick.
Let me tell you this, right? So because and then you close out, you give us your last talk and you go. So there's one of my very good friends, Mr. Rudolph Speed. Whenever he comes on, he always says he only has 3% left, and his battery is going to die. So
you call a contingency plan.
Every time someone comes on one of these shows and their battery dies, somebody in the comment section say, "Oh, 3%." So just had to share that on a lighter note. But yeah, man, you can close out for us because that's what we're doing. Again, thank you so much for coming on. As Cranky and I were saying, it is good to have these discussions, right, where we can hear from persons in the traditional media. Just speak about things that sometimes, because the thing with platforms like these is that you don't get to read the comments when you're doing your show like we do. And so we cover a wide range of people, and some of these criticisms, I am telling you, like I said, they're over the top. So it's good when you have someone like you to come on, and so people can realize that there is a place for critique, but we must you know, there must be balance. And I don't know if because you're back, but we have have you heard about Diego? You know that name? You listen to any talk show program in Jamaica?
Yeah, man. I used to listen to KLS when I can, and of course I listen to some hits. What Tracy them and them guys, and I listen to Clyde and Stratton and man.
This is Diego Ogilvy. I don't know if you have heard.
Yes, indeed.
You know the voice?
Diego Ogilvy.
He always says, New York, New York. City so nice, they name it twice. So he and Cranky supposed to have this big old debate, you know. But they call it the battle of New York, Queens versus what, Brooklyn, or is one of those places, you know. So we'll see.
Tell them New York only nice in the winter.
But Diego, say your piece because George is about to go. So I don't.
No, man, that's why I wanted to get George. I'm a big fan of his. I just want to give a story where I agree with him. Yeah. I agree with him, and he hit the perfect point that I was amazed. As a man who, as I said, left Jamaica early but called the radio station, I went back for 4 months, George, and I never missed your show. Never missed your show on the cable channel there. And you
big respect, man. Big respect.
Here's what I agree with you on. And being in America from such a young age, I see that people can make change, but they have to, as you say, the movement. Guess what shocked me, George? I was in Jamaica for 4 months, and I went to Sabina to watch cricket. And it's 8 people in the stadium. Every match I go, I see 8 people. And George, 5 of the people that came because of Diego. Okay? There was more players. George, there was more players in the stadium than even fans. And yet they want change. How are you going to get change when you're not even showing no interest in the sport? So all they do is talk.
Absolutely right, you are.
To the parish. You hit the point. Matter of fact, I went to football matches, Barbican, Constant Spring, Waterhouse. Nobody's there.
Yep.
So if you want change, you're not really interested in your sport. So what they want to do is just to talk and talk and talk, and talk can't change nothing. Okay, we can go back to America with Rosie Parks. You gotta stand up. You gotta do something.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You hit a
change won't happen if you don't make it happen.
Thank you, George. So these people, you go to these meetings when they're voting in the parish, so it starts there. What's going on? Why? So the people are in power now. Maybe those are the people who have the passion for the sport. That's why they're there.
Yes.
So you have to have the passion to change, and you have to stand up and get involved.
Correct, you are. Correct, you are.
I just want to say I agree with you, admire you on the one thing though, Mannings, man. Yes, I need to tell you and George this, because I heard you. There's something that you can't change. I was here when Patrick Ewing was at Georgetown before he came to New York. And when he played St. John's, 19,000 New Yorkers had a sign. Abe, can you read this? You can't stop fans. You can't, no matter what you do, you'll never stop it. You know the thing that stopped it, George? When the Knicks drafted him, those same 18,000 people said, Patrick Ewing, you are our king, our savior. All the success. So when Elaine Thompson, so if people are going to criticize Elaine once she fails, so next year when she wins, those same people would worship her. So Mannings, man, there's nothing you can do. You can try all you want to tell people they should criticize, and it will never happen. It will never happen.
Yeah.
But great show, guys. I'm enjoying it, and keep up the good work.
All right, man. Respect.
Yeah. Here's my final point on the whole criticism item, actually, which is I don't think it's that you criticize, in the corporate environment, we talk about 2 things, which is what you do and how you do it. The how is important. It's how you criticize. If I say you're an idiot, first you have to improve your intellectual acumen. There's a whole different way in terms of how you receive that information, Or you to enhance your learnings. Where say you're an idiot, you're a fool. You will receive that differently. it's the how that we need to change, not necessarily the what.
When I say that Granit Xhaka for leave us, because them man are not good, them man are not getting no pay. Listen, I'm not talking to the person Granit Xhaka, I'm talking to the person I'm seeing on my TV.
It makes you feel good and it's more impactful. But if it gets to Xhaka, he's going to receive it differently. What we're trying to do is we want that impact and want it to hurt and want to hit as hard as possible because it makes us feel good.
But you know what?
Because if I use euphemism, it doesn't resonate as well. Maybe saying the same thing doesn't resonate as well.
But Cranky, when you go to a football game and a man, you're in the finals, your center forward gets the penalty, runs up and kicks it over the top, and the referee blow off the game, and you get one love. You think you're gonna clap and say, well, at least him try?
No, man is man. I didn't say don't criticize, you know. You see, that's the same point you're missing, you know, like the audience of that miss. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. The what is still the same, you criticize. How you deliver the message, just like how you're trying to encourage someone, and as someone talk about a coach can criticize you, some people don't receive criticism well, and some deal with it really well, and the nature of the criticism and how it's delivered can have detrimental effect versus being a positive reinforcement. All
right, there we go. All right, so George, again, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, man, you're welcome, man.
You know, always good. Listen, whenever you have time, you know, I don't know when that will be again because I do have a long schedule. Big up Cranky because
when I have time, I pass through, man. Don't worry yourself.
When Cranky heard they were coming on, Cranky said, man, I need to talk to George because the last time he was here. So
it was my pleasure, man.
And you know what? Both of you came into agreement, so that's good. And thanks for your perspective. I think, like I said, sometimes you just need to have other perspective from persons who have been in the field and probably have sometimes more information than some of us. And some of the things that we probably say in this forum, as a traditional media, it can't be uttered in those spaces. And so it's kind of good to learn and understand the nuances of the whole media landscape, having conversations with persons like you. So very grateful for the opportunity to have had you on. Yeah. Somebody's saying that we need to tell you to talk patois.
Don't worry, George. I get that also, George. Don't worry about it.
All right, boss.
Talk patois, you need to talk it.
All right, folks.
People, trust me, you can't talk patois. I know.
Yeah, man.
And if you go on
all right, cool.
Talk patois, them say don't know English.
You understand?
You have it both ways.
All right, then. Blessed.
Yeah, man, respect.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
All right. Thank you so much as well, Cranky, for coming on. Yeah, man. Have a good evening. All right, people, thank you so much for sticking with us. We have gone past the 2-hour mark, but I think it was worth it. The one thing I'll ask you to do is before you leave, please hit the like button. All right, we should have had over 100 likes by this because it has been such a good show. No charge is 91. So if we get 9 more likes, it gets over 100. Thanks to every single one of you for sticking and staying with us for the duration of this video. For those who we may not have brought up your comments, I hope that next time we'll be able to, as we continue to bring you great interviews. I am Management. This has been I Am Sure Sports. And as usual, we say we are over and we are OUT out.
Yo, watch about dog, SK New Earlist, the body out there, Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, you cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocho-Rios, Galtigo Bay, everywhere. I Am Sure Sports, check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like? Yeah, someone on for the food from we young, from we there, you need height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.